All right, it is 6:02. We have a quorum. It is my honor and privilege to call to order the Groton Board of Education regular meeting on February 28th at 6 p.m. And our mission statement is teaching and learning with the board goals in a richness of cultures and with respect for all, provide dynamic, rigorous curriculum, ensure effective and engaging instruction, and embrace excellent learning environments. And welcome to all. The first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. And I am wondering if Susan, if you would be willing to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic
which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Looks like we had a quarter of the flag. So the next part is the recognition and participation of visitors and delegations. And Susan, I believe we do not have anyone in that. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay. All right. Our next piece is comments for citizens. And agenda items and other subjects of concern that lie within the jurisdiction of the Board of Education. This is the portion of the agenda where the board welcomes comments from citizens. Each presentation should be limited to 5 minutes or less, and citizens should, if possible, submit written comments. Presentations should be related to matters pertinent to Groton. Board members will only ask other questions in order to clarify the speaker's presentation and cannot respond during the comments of citizens portion of the board meeting. Citizens should state their names and addresses for the record. I know, Mike Whitney, that you had a desire to speak for the board. Hi, Mike, it's good to see you. And Mike, I just wanted to let you know that I've already forwarded to Joan your comments that you sent to me this morning, so that it will be part of our record. I just didn't want to forget about that. If there is anyone else who is liking to speak, if you could do exactly what Noah Johnson just did, which is to put your name in the chat. I also believe that there is a Richardson that had contacted the board that is wishing to speak to the board as well. But Mike, I would like to offer the spot for you first.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
My name is Mike Whitney, 112 Deerfield Ridge Drive, Mystic, Connecticut. And I'll read from the statement that I sent earlier today, with one exception. I found an error I made in the date of an email, so I've corrected that here. Here's the statement. I have grave concerns about removing the mask mandate in Groton Public Schools, how the decision was made, and the belated timing of the board publicly discussing the issue. We know masks have helped protect those wearing masks and the people around them. The school mask mandate has helped prevent COVID infections, reduce community spread, and keep our schools open. There are still COVID cases in our community and in our schools, as the LLHD COVID data and Groton Public Schools COVID dashboard show. It's too soon to make masking optional, particularly with the new Omicron variant on its way. As a clear indication it's too soon, I point out that, as prominently stated in the agenda, this meeting is being held remotely due to the coronavirus concern. You, as the Board of Education, are affording yourselves many more layers of COVID protection than students, faculty, and staff have. The governor announced 3 weeks ago that the statewide school mask mandate would end, and that masking mandate decisions should be made at the local level. Ever since then, I and many others have been waiting for the Groton Board of Education to hold a meeting on this. Instead, there's been silence, despite many opportunities to meet. The decision to make masks optional was announced on Friday, February 18th, with no public meetings at all. Where was the board involvement? Why didn't you meet? Transparency and timely public involvement is a cornerstone of public schools and our society, but it's being chipped away more and more. You all have been democratically elected to the Board of Education and entrusted with specific and often broad authority over the administration of Groton Public Schools. Please take an active public role in this matter. The public has a right to know more details about exactly how the decision was made, particularly at a time when the average daily case rate is still high in Groton. I don't know all the decision details, but I do know there were some clear issues with the decision-making process. The superintendent's letter points to feedback from parents, students, staff surveys. Firstly, I'd like to know which schools were surveyed and how participants were selected for the students. I do not believe Fitch or Groton Middle School students were included. At 1:30 p.m. on Thursday, February 17th, the superintendent sent a survey link to parents on masking. The phrasing of the first question on the masking choice was not neutral and was biased towards optional masking. What I find offensive is this survey was sent out after the decision was made. In an email to the board sent earlier that day at 9:17 a.m., that's the correction, the superintendent stated, and I quote, "I'd like to get a clear message out to the public today. Just met with Steve Manfield, LLHD this morning, and he said the CDC is coming out with their guidance and it will support us in our communication that masks, while recommended, are no longer mandated as of February 28th. To mask or not to mask will be a choice by families and staff," end quote. Seeking stakeholder input after already deciding is backwards and disingenuous. And by the way, the new CDS guidance was not publicly set until a week after the superintendent's decision was made. This new CDC guidance is based on hospital capacity, not minimizing COVID infections and stopping spread in school. Groton went from CDC high risk to low risk instantly with a pen stroke. That's quite a propaganda trick. The new CDC risk classification is only on a county level. It does not characterize conditions specific to Groton. The current Groton COVID case level is 20.1 cases per 100,000 people, which is in the high or red category on the state of Connecticut COVID data tracking map. In Groton, 68% of 12 to 17-year-olds are vaccinated and only 32% of 5 to 11-year-olds are. Overall, less than half of the Groton student population is vaccinated. Local COVID rates and vaccination coverage are among the 7 factors the Connecticut Department of Public Health says school leaders should consider when changing district COVID-19 policies, as included in your agenda packet attachment. Now that you are meeting on changing COVID policies, please provide detailed information addressing each of these 7 important factors to consider prior to voting on any changes. That is essential for an informed public decision. The recently revised agenda for today's meeting specifically indicates you'll consider the suspension of the face mask covering policy. These policies are currently still active and state that violations of this policy, whether by students or staff, shall be handled in the same manner as other violations of applicable board policy. By the time of this meeting, already 1 entire school day has occurred with many violations by students and staff and no policy enforcement. This is, of course, due to the decision letter that the superintendent already sent out to the student community. Is a take-home point that board policies don't need to be followed? Please consider how this decision and the process followed impacts the credibility of the board and Groton Public Schools. Please keep the face mask coverings policy active and restore the protection that helps keep our schools community through this pandemic safe. As you reconsider COVID-19 related policies, I urge you also to reconsider the emergency and disaster preparedness policy adopted in 2020. This policy cedes many board powers to the superintendent. Analogous emergency powers are no longer in place at the state level. I suggest you discuss which emergency powers are still necessary for the superintendent. By design, decisions made by the board are much more immediately public and transparent than those by superintendents. Board oversight is also always critically important. Finally, if you do decide to suspend the mandated masking, it is essential to make high quality masks available to students and staff that see the need to wear them. At the February 23rd board budget meeting, the superintendent stated that, quote, "The state has sent us many, many thousands of N95 masks. Please make every effort to make them available to students in the entire school community. The changing situation will be stressful to many students. It is essential that additional social emotional support be provided by the schools. It's important to remember that COVID remains a very serious illness with dire consequences for many. Let's do everything we can to support a healthy community." Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Noah Johnson.
Hello, my name is Noah Johnson. I live at 4 Hilly Farm Lane. I am a junior at Fitch High School, and I would like to add to the discussion about the Latin program, which I heard you guys were deciding about. So when I first joined Latin back in this year of 2019, 2020, I didn't know if I needed any prior experience. It was never told to me, like if I could ever, no one ever advertised it. And so I just took a leap of faith and chose it. So later on in that school year, when I started Latin, I figured out that many of the kids in the class also hadn't known why they were there, and most of them had only been there because they're siblings. So that's why, like, I've concluded that haven't been many kids in Latin program because it hasn't been really advertised. And I know it's like in the past, like in middle school, like my French program, they would always tell us, don't take Latin, it's too hard and all that stuff. And so throughout this experience in Latin, I've learned a lot. It is not only, it has not only expanded my English vocabulary, but also my Latin one, in that I've been introduced to many classical authors such as Horace, Catullus, and Virgil. Overall, it has been a really great experience, and the staff which teaches it is wonderful. So I hope you consider this when you decide on the decision of Latin in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for voicing your concern.
Yep.
Portia Bordelon, good to see you.
Good to see you all. Thank you, Portia Bordelon, 24 Jefferson Drive, Groton, Connecticut. For full disclosure, I'm a Groton Town Councilor, but I'm also today speaking as a constituent. I want to align my marks with Mr. Whitney to an extent on the COVID. Some of the concerns that I've heard or had from folks is, again, what is the policy if there are students or staff in the building that are not vaccinated? Who is taking the charge to make sure that they're still wearing a mask? Because even though we dropped the mask mandate, the regulations state if you are not COVID vaccinated and you have not received all three, you should still be wearing the mask. So the question is how are you going to drive that daily to make sure? With that, family members may have concerns because they might have family members that are immune compromised or other things at home, elderly, or whatever their personal religious or beliefs are on the COVID pandemic. At the middle school and high school level, one could say that the children could own that responsibility and it's a joint decision on the family. But when we start to look at the elementary level, 3, 4, 5, kids who still need bathroom reminders and hand washing reminders, if a parent has in place that they would like their child to be masked for the school day, where is the sign off on that to make sure that when we turn that child over to the elementary school, that that school is honoring that wish? So kind of like what Mike Whitney had stated, I feel there should have been some type of permission slip sent home or something like that to honor those parents' wishes. Middle school and high school, we kind of expect them to own it, but below that grade, we drop our child off and still hope that the staff honor the wishes of the parents. So I feel like that's not been addressed as what that plan would be. You know, if I had a 3 or 4-year-old who could not be vaccinated at this time, I would want to make sure that their mask is on. And I would want to make sure that the town staff and teachers and paras are helping to ensure that that is being followed. So that's my hope. My son today came home and stated at the high school, he saw about half the students wearing the mask today, and as well as some of the staff members already starting to remove masks. So it's already beginning. My next thing is looking at the English classes. This is something I expressed over many years. My son now is a sophomore moving into his junior year, and the option to stay in honors falls off. Either you go AB or IB, you cannot stay honors, or you drop down to college prep. Not everybody can handle that rigor. He is going to carry all IB and AB other classes, but English is something that he kind of may want to be, or another student may want to stay at the honors level, and the option is not available in Groton. Why? Because what you're doing is pushing students to either go, if they don't want to take on the challenge of that, the only option is to go down, which our lowest level in Groton is college prep now. That is a concern. So why is there not an in-between bridge program? Because it also allows students that are coming from a college prep level let's just say a sophomore is at college prep only this year, and that's where they are, that allows them to move to an honors level for junior year. But if that's not available, they'll stay at college prep. So just making sure we're not having the gaps as we increase the rigor. And I see that as a large concern and have over the last 5 years, and I've addressed it several times. Third, ROTC program. Again, I have a son that just graduated from Fitch, went off to join the Navy, and is at the Naval Boot Camp as we speak. I've advocated for 5 to 6 years asking for a form of ROTC program at the Fitch High School in a military community that we serve. I've come before the board at public comment, and some had stated, oh, we don't want them to have the weapons in school, and there was concerns with that and all of that. New London does a beautiful job. It was also stated funding wasn't there. Well, we can look for grants and funding for that and advance that program along. As we sit here, I have a son now who's a sophomore who also would like to join the military and is looking to be an officer perhaps. And yet there is still no ROTC program or bridge program or anything to support that community. As we look towards making sure we have the rigor of IB and AB and advanced courses, we should be looking at career readiness and making sure that in a military community, we offer that type of program in our town. Going into the Naval Academy is a career path. That is a college-bound path, and yet we do not have the baseline to support any branches in our town. Last, looking at extracurricular activities. I've been reviewing the budget, and eventually, obviously, from a town council standpoint, it will come to me. And one of the things I've said to my constituents, I'm all for supporting the number to make sure the Board of Ed is covered. But I have no control over where that number that I support is moved within all the different object codes. That is the Board of Ed's elected decision. One of the things I see overwhelmingly over the last several years is as we fund the upper level classes, we look at the enrichments and they start to come down. Some enrichment programs are funded at a higher level, like football, and others are not so much. Currently, I'm seeing a concern in marching band, the drum sets, and other things like our last year.
We have 30 more seconds.
Thank you. Marching band, their uniforms are getting old, as well as fencing, making sure that they have proper support. When I'm out in the community, I notice that East Lyme shows up with 4 coaches for fencing. We show up with 2 and no female representation for the females on the sports team. So I just encourage the Board of Ed, whatever number you get, and whatever that percent increased or whatever it stays at, when you decide to move the money around, to make sure our extracurricular activities are supported at the same level as football and its surrounding. I'm just going to close. As we educate our children, extracurricular activities should be supported at the same rigor as everything else. And we should not look less than our neighboring towns when our funding is there, and we are definitely a top performer in our community. So I just hope that we can look to funding fencing, marching band, and everything else in our community at the same level as we do all other extracurricular activities. Thank you.
Thank you, Portia. The next one in line is Sarah Hillman. Hi, Sarah. If you think you're talking.
There we go. Hi, everybody. This is Sarah Hillman, 100 Pearl Street, Groton, Connecticut. I'm traveling, so I'm going to do the best I can. But I am here to discuss the mask mandate becoming mask optional. I would like to thank Susan and the board for very seriously considering all of the factors that were necessary to make this decision. As the board probably knows, all of our neighboring towns have also decided to go mask optional. We're in Florida right now where they haven't been wearing masks for a year, and kids are flourishing and doing really well. Today was the first day of masks optional, and I heard and have seen in our group of parents of about 150 of us pictures and testimonies of how thrilled the kids were to go to school today. How happy people, especially with kids with speech classes and kids who need extra help in special education, how much better their education is going to go. We know now that the downfalls of the masking have been tremendous on a national level. Suicide rates are through the roof. There's a father in Fairfield who's very active in the movement to make masks optional in Connecticut, who lost his son last October to suicide. There are people in our community who talk about the same thing, that they have children with skyrocketing anxiety and depression that have just been absolutely overcome with joy and thrill that they can return to school without masks, to see their friends, to see their teachers, to return to normalcy. We can no longer put the fear of adults over a survivable, treatable, and preventable illness on our children. They should not be bearing the brunt of this any longer. It's been 2 years, far, far too long. They deserve to go to school and learn and have normalcy return to them. So I would like to thank Susan for making this very wise and popular decision to let the children and families and teachers and staff decide whether or not they would like to continue wearing masks. The time has come. Another father at the Stonington Board of Ed meeting recently commented that there's a new party, and it's of parents who will hold the line and make sure that our children deserve and get the freedom that they are entitled to and deserve. So there's a group of parents in Groton that also are here to hold the line, and we're here to support mask choice for our kids. And I'm a homeschooling parent. I withdrew my son because I refused to send him to school in a mask. I knew that it would be very detrimental to his health. I'm a physical therapist. I know how important it is to be able to breathe fresh air, to communicate, to articulate. And so I look forward to being able to send him back to school someday. And I hope that I have that opportunity. So I disagree strongly with the idea of mask discrimination and masking children that are vaccinated and not vaccinated. To only mask the unvaccinated children, that's discrimination, and that we won't stand for that. So I'd like to thank everyone, and I'd like to encourage the board to please support Susan's decision. It's an excellent, wonderful decision, and our community is overjoyed by this news. And we hope that the board votes unanimously to support this, which will show that you have heard the parents and the families in this community from the surveys, the emails, and the calls. So thank you, everyone, and we're looking forward to returning to normal.
Thank you, Sarah. Courtney Richards.
Hi, everybody. This is Courtney Richards, 16 Arrowwood Drive, Groton. I'm going to talk about mask choice today. My first grader went to school today, and for the first day since he started school this year, his teacher said he did amazing. He was happy. There was only one student in his class that was wearing a mask today, and she said she could tell the difference. He didn't give any issues with classwork, which actually he's been giving issues with. He was shutting down and not doing work. He was getting aggressive. And she said today he was a whole new child. He was so happy. Everybody in the class was just so happy to see each other smiling. And, you know, I noticed a big change just in how he came home from school today. Between how he came home last week with the mask on, he felt better. He was happier. But I also want to speak about a situation we had happen this morning when I went to go put my child on the school bus. The bus driver called me a bad mom, told me I didn't care about my child's safety, tried to force me to put a mask on him. And my son was visibly upset by how I was being treated. Almost felt like he was doing something wrong, which is not okay. And that speaks to not judging those for the choice that they make. If a parent chooses to not put a mask on their child, or the child chooses to not wear a mask, no one should be judging them. Just like if someone wears a mask, there should be no judgment. And I think that's really important, that everybody should be talking to the students. They should be thinking themselves that no judgment should be made on either side, whether you choose to wear a mask or not. It's important that everybody feel together as a community in the decision that's made by everybody. I speak for mask choice. I saw a huge difference in my child. And as the person before me said, the community was speaking about how much of a change there was and how happy the children were. So I hope that everybody votes to make mass choice. And I just want to say thank you for all the time that you guys have put for this to keep us safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Courtney. Tara Bennett.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear
Hi,
me?
Tara. We can.
My name is Tara Cicchetti Bennett, and I live at 23 Lewis Street, Groton. I just want to come on to thank Susan and the Board of Ed for also supporting mask choice. I have a second grader now, and it was the first day, I think almost his whole school career, that he was able to go to school kind of normal, back to normal without the mask on. So we really appreciate it. He's here with me now. So thank you so much to the board for choosing that, and we hope to continue that in the future. I'm also coming on to speak as a teacher in another town. It was my first day going back without having to wear one, and I teach ESL, English as a Second Language. So as you can imagine, it's extremely difficult to teach students trying to learn English in a mask. So I would oftentimes have to stand far away and kind of pull it down, especially when I have newcomers to the country who really need to see your mouth. And even I also taught Spanish in the past, even teaching a foreign language, same thing. I can't imagine teaching Spanish with a mask. I haven't done that yet, but I did have to do it when teaching English for the past few years, and it was extremely difficult for the student. And also so many of our kids now are having speech language issues, our younger learners in particular. And it's just, they're not getting the help they need. Hopefully they will be now that they don't have to wear masks in the classroom if their parents choose. I'm really just here to support the choice. I think all parents should have the choice for their own kids, and if they want their kids to wear the masks or not. It's been a few years now, as other people have said, and I think everyone should just be able to toe the line. We parents are going to toe the line, but everyone should have the option if they want to wear one or not. So that's why I'm here, just to reiterate that, and hope the board continues to support choice, because for a teacher like me and any of your staff in Groton, I'm sure it is very difficult for them trying to teach a language in general. Thank you.
Tara, thank you. Is there anyone else that have not put their name on the chat but would like to speak to the board?
Does Mark see anybody else in the chat? I don't.
I don't see anyone. I'm just making sure. Sometimes
Okay.
just giving people a chance to
Some
kind of
wait time. Yep.
sit in it. They would be willing to do that. Superintendent, this is now a chance for the board members just to kind of think out loud in a general way. But Susan, Superintendent Austin, I have a couple questions for you. Actually, my first question is to Liz Porter, who is the chair of the curriculum part of our board, and is not a review of the Latin program. Is that not going to be discussed in your domain?
Well, first I want to clarify, we're not getting rid of Latin. Okay, that's not there. Our numbers are down, and we're trying to we are investigating why those numbers are down.
Okay.
And I just wanted to reiterate that Latin is not going away.
Especially for those kids who are grandfathered in. There is a
Yes,
period in the day that this Latin teacher will have with them.
But we take very seriously Latin and the importance of Latin for especially, for students all around. And I just wanted to guarantee that young man, Noah, are you still here, Noah?
I just
just want to make sure he knows that you know, we're not looking to get rid of it. We're looking to see why the numbers are down and to help correct that.
Thank you. Thank you, Liz.
You're welcome.
Mike, I just wanted to say thank you very much for your very thoughtful information about why we should keep the mask mandate, and your comment about I do need to personally respond to the reason why we are still meeting fully Zoom. I take full responsibility that we did not move to hybrid. I have been in a bereavement period, and this was one thing that just kind of slipped. But starting in March, I believe that the board is going to be going to a hybrid model. So I do want to say that to the community, to the board, and to you, Mike, specifically. That was the reason why we're not together or in hybrid, is really because with my bereavement leave, this was the one thing that slipped. Portia, Superintendent Austin, could you get back to the board about this honor class and why it's not able to be extended? I think that the board would be interested to know about that.
You can also say we've applied to be part of ROTC, but we have not gotten the word back yet.
Okay, so because my understanding was that there was a freeze on any more ROTC programs. Is that correct?
No, it takes a year. So we applied last year in the winter time, actually, and it takes a full year. So we're anxious to hear back, and have even talked about a club to get it started.
Okay, thank you. And also just to Councilor Borderline's question about our career readiness is that the board will be, and I think the next committee of the whole meeting, we're going to be hearing about our new career readiness programs that we're developing in the high school and with our partnership with Grasso Tech for our students. So I think that would be an excitement part.
And our IBCP program, which is an International Baccalaureate Careers Program as well.
Right. And the enrichment programs, I do know that the board is negotiating team needs to be working to look at the stipends in terms of what those different programs need. So I feel that. I would like to say thank you to the following families that have come out. And then if the board needs anything for clarification, but for Sarah, Courtney, and Tara, thank you very much for taking some time out of your world to come in and express your concern or support of the mask choice. Sorry, I am losing my mind. But I would recognize anyone from the board that has any questions, or if I had covered that, that's great.
Point of clarification.
Portia, yes.
Could you at least make sure that it's addressed for the people or folks that may want to know how, if they're wishing to have masks worn in school, I fully support anyone who chooses not to, but the parents that want their children to have one on, how is the board, when you guys discuss that, going to handle that on the elementary levels? Thank you.
So our primary teachers have reached out to parents, Portia. I just wanted you to know, for our youngest learners.
And I've also asked for Susan to speak to that more completely later, a little bit later on in our meeting. Anything else, board? All right, hearing none. Oh, student representative report. I think I saw Isaiah name.
Is he here? Isaiah?
Yes, I'm here.
Yay!
Thank
Hey,
you.
guy.
Hi, everyone. I'd like to start off by mentioning our girls basketball team, who has their first state game today against, I forget what town it is exactly, but they're hosting them. The second thing I'd like to talk about is our Fitch-Stone's co-op swim team, who just won an ECC championship over the weekend. According to my AP physics teacher, Mr. Chidley, I'm not 100% sure about this, but supposedly they now own all of the ECC records for boys swimming.
Ooh.
And yes, the third thing I'd like to talk about is I was actually a bit surprised when I came to school today because I expected a lot more students to have their masks off, but it was actually about like 50%.
That's what I heard.
So I just thought it was interesting.
Mhm.
That's it for me.
Okay. So thank you for reporting on some of the good stuff that's happening. The co-op team. I actually had 2 swimmers in my previous lifetime, and so it's really exciting to hear that ECCs they won, because that was such a battle. So that's exciting.
Kim,
Yes.
Isaiah, did you know that our wrestlers also, we had a great showing at I think it was ECCs this past weekend.
Yes, I'm sorry. I completely forgot to talk about our wrestling team.
Hey, I'm a former wrestling, I used to be the manager at Fitch when I was at Fitch High School. So don't forget my wrestlers.
Yeah, I'd also be remiss if I didn't mention my best friend, Luca Rossini, who actually competed in state opens over the weekend for wrestling.
Very, very cool. Yes, it seems like we're doing quite well. And so it's wonderful.
Yes.
And Isaiah, I have a quick question for you about band. Is there winter guard and winter drums, do you know? Or winter percussion?
I think so. I actually saw one of my
Yes.
friends in the hallway after school today, and he said that he was going to percussion. So I assumed that
Okay.
Yes.
one.
I think it's really important that, I just want the public to know that we do have things that are going on that are both not only sports wise, and yes, Portia, I just saw that fencing did wonderful. Yes, I forgot fencing. You're right. But also, that we do have a lot of things that are going on, and we're doing quite well. So congratulations to all our scholar athletes, all to our everybody who's participating in many different things. Just wanted to tell you that you make Groton proud.
Isaiah, are you the only student rep tonight? I don't see.
I think so. I'm not positive though.
We know how busy you are, Isaiah, and we really appreciate hearing your voice.
Yeah.
Of course.
And next month we'll be doing this in person. Is there other board members that have any questions or comments to Isaiah? All righty, hearing none. Isaiah, thank you so much for coming, bud.
Of course, no problem.
All right. So I'm going to move us on to the superintendent and administration reports. And so Superintendent Austin.
Okay. So I sent the board, and we've put it up on our website. There's an entire site, if you go onto the main page, really dealing with all the considerations that were made and the DPH, Department of Public Health, guidelines around that. And I just wanted you to know that there's 2 different guidelines. The one's on considerations for school districts in making the decision on masking and other decisions around COVID-19. And then the second guidelines is transitioning to a model of routine prevention. And then what do you do if you need to enhance that? So in always knowing that this COVID strain can do very different things, and we have to be kind of prepared at all times, we need an almost fluid aspect that if things got worse, we'd have to be able to shift gears. I do say that I've worked with all the area superintendents, the alliance superintendents, the commissioner of education, and the State Department of Education on a regular basis for the past 2 years, but especially lately in this whole transitioning that they're talking about. I would say that the CDC and Ledgelight Health have been our local respondents, and Steve Mansfield happens to be my neighbor, so I almost talk to him on a regular basis, but call him and seek his advice throughout this whole thing. And that's been really instrumental. We're not health experts, we're educators. So I definitely go to the experts when needing that sound advice. I would say that the survey, the aspect of the survey was to get far-reaching information. Sometimes a forum, you might have 20 people come, but with the survey, we were able to get over 2,300 respondents, parent responses. We received over 500 responses from the high school, and it was actually a high school student working with the teacher who designed the student survey. So I was very proud of that. Anytime students come up with ideas and want to hear other students' voices, it's really very, very rewarding. As far as the staff, we had over 600 responses from our staff. And all in all, between 80, I think it was 82% of staff, 90% of parents wanted to make the choice for themselves. And it wasn't just the choice or not choice. In that survey, we also asked, if you had the choice, what would you do? Would you have your child wear a mask or not? 40% of the parents said they would continue to have their children masked. 60% said they wouldn't. In the adults, in the teacher range, it was like a 50-50 split. And the comments were just very, very thoughtful. We went through all over 1,000 comments, or close to 1,000 comments that were there, to really see if we saw themes or trends. And, you know, we saw all sides of the picture in the comments about parents who were concerned, as Mike Whitney had said, about, are we lifting this mask mandate too early? You know, with the governor's lifting of it, we knew that, you know, we really had to consider what our population was looking for. So we really took that into consideration. But we still, I've met with all the administrators, and we've actually talked about the plan and using the DPH guidelines #2, which really has us go through all the items we checked off to ensure that we would continue some of these other strategies, routine strategies, and then enhanced strategies should we need them. So everything from the recommending the vaccination, someone had brought up the vaccination. I have to tell you, we've had about a dozen vaccination clinics at Fitch High School for students and staff. We have another one coming up in March. I think it's March 10th. From our partners, Hartford Healthcare have been amazing. And at every single one of them, we've had about 200 people show up to get vaccinated, first, second, and boosted. On the elementary side, we've partnered with Griffin Hospital, and they have been out to all of our schools a couple times and also to central office. So I think we just finished up clinic number 9, and we have a 10th one coming up also in March. March 11th is the TLI day, or actual professional development day. So parents are able to bring their children to central office if they haven't already done so. And that's for school age children 5 to 12. The other one is for 12 and up. So in the data that we've collected, it's a little different than what Mr. Whitney reports. Although the administrator doesn't have that data, it's really gone through the nurse's office. But we really were, I don't know of any other district who has really made sure that vaccinations and our community had access the way we have and our partners had. So I feel very confident that that's something, if people wanted to get a vaccination, they had access to it and still do. So we've reviewed all these, you know, these other, you know, strategies. And I know that one of the things that was said is that there shouldn't be any form of bullying or harassment or discrimination in any way, whether you wear a mask or don't wear a mask. I know that the CDC guidelines came out late Friday. So I was reading them early Saturday morning and trying to get the information to our bus company, because the last we knew, that was still a federal mandate. So we did get it out, and you know, this is the second case I've heard where a child was told to put on a mask getting on the bus, and I apologize. We tried to communicate that to all of, to the bus companies so they could communicate it to their drivers. And I know they were gonna state that position today, this afternoon again. But our administrators are well aware, and I would just say to the parents in the community, if you have any concerns at all, please reach out to the school directly. The N95 masks are in the building. We've sent them out. We have additional testing kits as well. So if a family wanted a kit, even just for their own sake, they could write a note to the school nurse, and they have their ample kits and N95 masks. So we're just going to continue to monitor this ever so carefully. Look at our data, the Groton school data, and work with Ledgelight. And, you know, that's why on the board's agenda, the motion really is to suspend the mask mandate, but to authorize the superintendent, should we need to, be flexible. And flexibility has been the name of the game with this past 2 years. But I appreciate everybody who came out and spoke about this and shared your concerns.
Are there questions from the board? So the board knows that, oh, Beverly?
Thank you. I do have one question, and it comes from the DPH attachment number 1, and it says, what processes need to be in place for continuous risk assessment and prompt decision-making regarding COVID-19 policies and mitigation strategies going forward? So do we have anything in place?
So I
risk
think
assessment?
that's the flexibility we're talking about, that the superintendent would be able to very quickly make a decision and share with the community should something change drastically and anybody would be at risk again.
Okay, thank you. I have one more question. Susan, are we taking temperatures or anything like that when the students come to school to make sure that, I mean, how, other than the parents telling us that the students have COVID, how do we know?
So we've really asked parents to partner with us in this, Beverly, like, you know, always, that if their child is expressing that they're not feeling well, to keep the child home, to take the temperature, to see, you know, how the child does. So if a child is sick, we're asking parents and staff, stay home, find out, take a test. They actually have the ability to call the school nurse, and they can come and drive up, and the school nurse can give them a test. If a child comes into school, and this happens sometimes, where they all of a sudden don't feel well by lunchtime, you know, they go right to the nurse's office, and the nurse takes their temperature and checks to see how they're feeling. And if it's something that is really COVID-like symptoms, they send them home with a testing kit to their parents. You know, the parents come and pick them up. And the kits come in 2 parts. So the first we ask them to take right away, and then 24 hours later, they take the second. And that's actually been a good system we've had in place for quite some time now, since we received all the kits.
Denise, I see that you have let go of your video. So is there something that you wanted to add to the conversation, or were you just saying hi?
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Chairperson. I just wanted to follow up on Beverly's question about the processes that we'll be using to determine if we have to move to more enhanced strategies. And one of them is monitoring the data and looking, you know, monitoring to be sure that we don't have a classroom outbreak. So the DPH has provided metrics for us to use to assess if there is an outbreak, either in a classroom or in a school, which would signal that we need to go back to what the superintendent referred to as those enhanced strategies.
And how many students need to be in that number of the outbreak? In a class, is it 5 students? Is it 2? Is it 20?
Sure. So the guidelines are 10% of the students, teachers, or staff within a core group, or at least 3 cases within a specified group. And we've shared this with the principals, and they monitor their cases and they submit them to us, which get posted on the district website. So we are communicating often, although you'll see on the district website, we haven't had more than 5 cases since February 14th. The cases have been, I think, 1, maybe 2 a day, but mostly 1.
Where after January was really, it was really kind of frightening. So it really did escalate after Christmas, but it has come way down.
We also, I know Lori's on the meeting, we also looked at, the vaccination rate of our staff, which is very high. I believe it's upwards of 97%
That's
of our
correct.
staff are vaccinated.
Mhm.
I don't know, Lori, if you want to confirm that. Is that correct?
That's correct, Denise. Yes, we're at 97%.
And Denise, can I ask you another question?
Of course.
Okay, what about what are we doing for the students that have adverse health outcomes? Special ed students and, students that, in that health risk category.
Many of our students with more significant disabilities have difficulty tolerating the mask. So for many of those students, wearing a mask has not been something that they've been able to do all day. However, we have, been reminding them, but we are also communicating with parents to see if parents want their children to continue to wear the mask. And if they do, we're providing reminders. We're, kind of reminding them to pull the mask up, put it back on after a snack. But many of those students have difficulty tolerating the mask. So we're using other strategies such as frequent hand washing, use of hand sanitizer, social distancing, keeping their cohorts a little bit more contained in order to minimize their risk.
In those classes, do you think the staff should wear masks to protect the students?
Well, we have a very high percentage of our staff that are vaccinated. So at this point, I feel that, they can make the choice. We've all been very diligent about monitoring our symptoms and not coming to work if we have symptoms. So I do feel that, the teachers are also aware if staff are in the building with symptoms and sending them to the nurse. So I do feel that the staff are aware of what they need to do to keep themselves healthy and keep their students healthy. And I think that they can make that decision in terms of what's best for their health. And if they are feeling ill, take steps to mitigate that, either wear a mask or stay home for a day or 2. And obviously, as Susan said, we have plenty of test kits to send home with them.
Thank you.
Liz, I know that you had your hand up.
Yeah, that's fine.
Anyone else on this topic? So I just want to remind for the board is that we are going to be voting on the suspension of the mask policy. And that in talking to both CABE, which is the Connecticut Association of Boards of Ed, and also talking to the attorney, it really, just like going remote or not going remote, is not the issue, is not the duty of the board. It's actually the duty of the superintendent with the board's support around that. So I just wanted to make sure that we had that conversation for a second, and but also just to remind the board that later on in the meeting, we are going to be voting on the suspension of the face mask. Susan, would you like to continue, or is your piece done? And is Phil here? I don't see his name.
No, Dr. Piazza is not here tonight, but I believe Tom Lonsdale, who's really spearheaded our whole lottery process and the timeline, he should be here.
Yes, he is. I see him.
There he is.
I am here. I am filling in for Phil. So Dr. Piazza, myself, and Rebecca Bias have really been kind of leading this charge on the lottery process timeline. It's hard to believe, but it is already, magnet season again, if you can believe it. And our lottery process actually opened on February 1st, and that lottery application has been opened. We already have families who are applying to our different elementary magnet schools within the district, which is fantastic. As you would expect, it is a little different this year. So we're not closing schools and opening new schools this year. All 5 of our schools are now open. We are seeing kind of the greatest demand at the kindergarten level, which is to be expected for all of our new families entering the district, choosing their schools. So looks like roughly as of today, about 9 out of their 10 applications are at the K level. So very strong at the K level. We really now are just starting our push in terms of advertising. I know Rebecca did a fantastic job. There are promotional videos for all 5 of our elementary schools now posted on our district website, which all of you can view. All different materials about the different themes at our buildings, about what we can offer at Groton at the elementary level. And I encourage the board and everyone on here to go on and view those. It's really fantastic to kind of see what's come together with the themes, especially at our new elementary schools. How far they've come in just a year is really great to see. Going forward, we intend to keep the lottery application open through the end of March. And kind of close that off right at the end of the month. At that point, it'll take us a few days to run the physical lottery. So just to kind of think about what the process is, we collect all the applications, then we run it, which is a randomized process to kind of determine an order. Once we run it, we start offering seats. So we hope to, by the end of that first week of April, to be able to offer our first available seats to families. We'll give a few days to make decisions. And then if there are still available seats, we'll run kind of a second group through to offer as many seats as possible to our students. We hope to conclude all of that before students go on their April break. That is earlier than last year by several weeks, probably 3 weeks. And we really did that intentionally to push forward, not only to be more competitive with Learn and New London, but also just to make sure that our principals and administrative staff knew the students they were going to have in their buildings as soon as possible, so they can start working on things like building class lists for 22-23, because those are processes they're starting right now as well. That is really the thing. I am really hopeful that with the way COVID is trending, that we might be able to offer some in-person open houses or promotional events for our elementary schools before the lottery application closes. I know we were talking today about hopefully doing some things in late March or early April. I know the principals will be reaching out to families, in earnest over the next month, and I hope to see a really strong application pool this year for all of our elementary magnets.
And there are some highly mobile seats that will be put in
Yes.
there as well, because we are a military community and quite a transient community. So should people come in even over the summer and apply, that they could actually take one of those highly mobile seats.
Yes, absolutely. And one other change that I forgot to mention, we are pushing very hard for all of our kindergarten families to register for school before the end of March. And that's just to make sure that every elementary family who's currently in Groton has the opportunity to apply in the lottery and to make that choice should they want to. It also gives us a much better understanding of how big our incoming K class is, so we can plan and offer seats accordingly.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Are there questions from the board about that? Matthew?
I'm really thrilled that you've got the promotional videos. Are you guys planning to put them up on the Groton Community Forum, the Noank Long Point Forum? So, just go out there and promote those where we have non-traditional ways of communicating?
Absolutely. I know earlier this afternoon, we discussed making sure it's on the Groton Public Schools Facebook page, and those could be forwarded onto those other pages. I know Rebecca also intends, and I don't know, I think Rebecca's on this call if she wants to chime in as well. But I know she intends to kind of highlight a specific school here and there each week. So she might do a week on Thames River and all the great things that are happening there, and a week on Mystic River. So no, we have a lot of plans to really try to use some mixed media to promote our schools. Absolutely.
Talk to you.
Hi, everyone. Yeah,
Hi, Rebecca.
This is Rebecca. Hi, Tom. Yes, we typically, Matt, now that we have our own Facebook page, which is going wonderfully, we typically make sure everything's up on the website first. Then we post on the Facebook, we link to there, and then we are sharing within those other community forums that exist. We start with our page and share out. And then hopefully that also shows people that we have our own page that's now in existence, which has been growing wonderfully, just very organically, and we'll expect to continue to see growth with that. And as Tom said, we'll highlight and make sure people know that all the videos are up there now, which the teams at each of the schools did a wonderful job with those. You can find that page if you go to the grotonschools.org website. Underneath the Our Schools in the menu bar, you'll see all of our schools listed, but then you'll also see a call out for Magnet Elementary Schools. And we'll also be featuring it on our homepage. And as Tom said, we'll be highlighting each of the schools' videos probably multiple times over the next month, and also highlighting, we're hoping to do a pretty good job of highlighting what's happening at each, at all of our schools on the Facebook page. We've already showcased some events at Charles Barnum and Groton Middle, and we'll keep that going as well.
We've also had two-way communication to an email link that is posted there, and that has been so helpful. So parents, keep doing that, sending us your questions. We monitor that, and you know, keep liking it. I think, what are we up to? How many followers now?
We were just shy of 700 as of today, and that's really just been that organic sort of snowball effect growth. We're now going to start doing more with partner pages, and to see even more growth. We're hoping to put the Facebook tag on our all of our district communications that go out via school messenger, and just keep reminding people, because even people say when the you know, the calls go out about snow days or things like that, or the message yesterday morning that went out about the bus change with masks. Sometimes school messenger takes quite a bit of time to filter through and get all of the phone calls out. So we're posting on Facebook immediately as well. So often we're seeing that people are now starting to see it there first, which is good. So we're just making sure we're integrating all of our different communication media and getting the message out one way or another to folks.
And for really important message, we put that annoying pop-up on the website, and you can't get rid of it. There's this little corner you have to go to. So parents can go website, you know, off to the Facebook, and make sure if you're not getting school messenger that you call your school so that we can fix that at our end.
Beverly?
Thank you, Kim. I'd like to congratulate you on your success for the Facebook page. It sounds like it's doing quite well. But my question is, are all our students, are all our families connected to the internet?
Beverly, they may use a cell phone versus a computer, although I know that when we gave out Chromebooks to our families, we did give out also hotspots from T-Mobile. And I think families still are able to use those because we do have kids, if they're home sick with COVID, they're able to do their remote learning, and we want them to have that access.
Yeah, Susan, I can confirm that. We do still have hotspots available for families. And if there are any families who do not have internet access at home, we do still provide them.
Thank you, because it seems like a lot of information is being disseminated through websites and emails. So I just want to make sure that, you know, even for the strategies for COVID, I just want to make sure that all our families have access to this information.
That's a very good point, Beverly, because a lot is showcased online.
You'll notice too, a lot with the website and our communications, we're really trying to get away from posting things as PDFs on the website. We're really looking to make our content web-based for two reasons. It's more accessible for someone who, for example, might have a screen reader or some other accessibility device to help them. It also helps with translation. If someone pulls something up in a PDF, it's not going to translate for them through something such as Google Translate. But if they pull it up in a web-based format, Google will automatically translate for them based on their browser settings. Similarly, in Facebook, we have all translator settings turned on. So when we post something in English, if somebody has it set that they view their Facebook in another language, they will see our post in that language.
Thank you very much for your responses.
Any other questions from the board about the lottery? Tom and Rebecca, thank you for, Katrina, did you have something or were you just waving? Okay, I can't tell, I just can't. Tom, thank you for filling in for Phil, and Rebecca, it's so good to see you. And thank you for giving us the information. Does someone want to speak to the Read Across America?
I do. I'm going to share my screen. This is one of my favorite weeks of all times. So Phil and I will be in every school. And this particular one since 2014, we would either do one district, one book, one problem. Last year we did one author, Kwame Alexander, and it was a big hit, K through 12. This year I talked to the DEI committee and we really wanted to do one district, two authors, two of my favorite authors, Jason Reynolds and Jacqueline Woodson. And Jacqueline especially has always had these beautiful picture books with big meanings and just gorgeous. And we filled our libraries with so many of her books. So one of the things that we do is we create a library set of books that we distribute to each of the schools. And we read their books, we read other books, we have guest visitors. We haven't had as many visitors as in the past, but we do have a few visitors coming to read to the children. And I'm sorry, this is in a landscape format, but I'm gonna slide it over. And these are posters that we have hanging in all the schools. Some of the titles from both of these wonderful authors with information. And you can, if you Google them, you can listen to them speaking or reading their books. They're just amazing authors who've won all kinds of awards in literature, and they get kids hooked into reading those books, especially that Jason. He has got so many books that are graphic novels, that are a series, and kids are just enjoying them so much. We met with the Curriculum and Instruction Council and we reviewed our strategic plan that's been ongoing for the past 5 to 7 years. And one of the things I hear loud and clear from the teachers are they are so proud of what they've accomplished in these years with the curriculum, the instruction. And we had several ELA teachers say, there's like this new hunger for reading and for writing and for all of our kids, elementary, middle school, and high school. So it's authors like these that make kids hungry to read and to learn and to write. And so I just couldn't be more excited. So this week we'll be dropping off all these books that you see. And so kids will have a more diverse set, and we have another, we have other very diverse books and authors, and it gives us the opportunity to have mirrors and windows into worlds. So I'm very excited about this. So that's what I went to school for, to be a teacher. And so I love this Read Across America week.
Yay.
Yay.
All right, if there's no questions about that, I'm going to move us on to Ken. So Ken, have you missed us? I mean, you've been seeing us like every day of the week.
Seems like forever since we spoke.
You wish.
So the first item I'm going to go over is attachment number 3, which is object code summary. I'll share here. Make it a little bit bigger. So this is for FY22. Remember, it's FY22, not FY23. We're estimating that we are on track, set track for our $77,438,090 budget. we're estimating to spend 77,336,892, which is a projected unexpended balance of 101,198 at this point. We have had some cost avoidance under the custodial and maintenance due to there being some positions open that we have not been able to fill, as well as having some better experience under our tuitions for both special education and our magnet tuitions, especially the state agency place, which has been under budget due to some students are aging out, and so we don't have to continue to pay those tuitions. So overall, we are anticipating a $100,000 unexpended balance at the end of the year.
Jay?
And obviously, Ken, I don't have to say to you that that means that we could just be one placement away from being at zero again. But the other thing I'm kind of concerned about is, as I'm watching the news, is there any opportunity at this point? I know that the diesel prices, I believe, are locked in through June 30th. Is there any possibility of locking in beyond that, pre-buying?
So
or I don't know what your schedule looks like.
Yeah, so we would look at that typically over the summer, but there is a consortium of municipalities that we are looking at joining, Connecticut municipalities, including the town of Groton, that are looking at locking into some diesel and heating oil prices now versus waiting until the summertime. So we are looking at that, and that it's a consortium, so it's a group, and I think we are meeting on Friday to discuss that.
Okay, so you have to go in with the town on that?
So we don't. So if we wanted to join this consortium, they are part of it, and so yes, we would decide to go on our own, but the feeling is that with the greater amount of buying power, that we'd be better off with the group.
Right, that makes sense, but like you said, I think time is of the essence.
Yes. Yep.
All right, thank you.
Katrina?
And I was looking at the well, obviously the object code summary, and on page 6, 4 lines up from the bottom, what is 3710, not community services, non-public schools? Is that the EPD, stuff like that?
So that's mainly, we provide transportation services for Sacred Heart students, and that's what that amount is for.
It's a lot of money. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions for Ken on that? Beverly?
Ken, on function 1260 enrichment, we only spent, I hope we spend more than $38,000 on enrichment.
So we have quite a few grants that cover enrichment. Our DODEA grants cover a lot of enrichment. And this does not include any of the additional student activity for the 6 through 12. So this is enrichment, and we have this broken down. It's by school, and we also have funding in the ESSER 2, I believe. So it's kind of spread out. We have spent so far this year $9,161. We would anticipate spending that entire amount of $38,724.
Okay, so this isn't the line item where support comes in for students that might be in that AP class that needs the support. That's not considered enrichment.
Yeah, enrichment is more of it's a lot of after school type of enrichments, additional help. Maybe you're thinking of, I don't know if I'm reading correctly, remedial type of cost support, which is the next function down, function 1270.
Correct. That's what I was thinking of. All right.
Katrina?
Do we, or I think the grant goes right to the town, the magnet school busing grant, or is that for all schools that we have to transport students to?
The magnet school grant that goes directly to the town, that's the cost that the state reimburses us for transporting students to the magnet schools outside of our district.
Okay, thank you.
Any other question for Ken on that? If not, let's go to the insurance.
All right. Here is, hopefully you can see that. Here is our claims through the month of December. We should have the January report by now. We have not received that yet, but this is through December. You'll notice for the month, claims, total cost of claims for the month of December were $1,181,465, which is above our projected monthly number of $990 by 190,000. So it's showing almost 120% of that projection. So this is anticipated. We anticipated at some point for claims to be larger due to postponed appointments and procedures. So this is built into what we anticipated. Through year to date, we're still at 94.8%. So I think we're well within our anticipated numbers with regard to the claims at this point.
Any other questions for our business manager? Jay?
Not to put you on the spot, Ken, but just out of curiosity, how does that track toward where we were for that month last year?
Yeah, last year, the month was at 93.5% and year to date 75.4%, but last year was probably not a good metric or gauge. And actually the same thing with the year before, it was 92.6% for the month. But once again, that was 2019. So if we look back at 2018, it was 86.8%. So I think this December is quite a bit higher than what we have experienced in the past, but I do believe it's the postponed procedures appointments that are driving that.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Kilpatrick?
Yes, good evening.
There you are.
Yeah.
Hi, guy.
I'm up here.
Up here.
Up in the top square. So yeah, I have a couple of things I want to report on, but I heard Katrina mention the out-of-town transportation to the magnet schools across the bridge, and I just received an email today from the state regarding the EDO 21, which is the form that we fill out. So I'll be working on that and getting that into the state right away. So, but those numbers are down too, because we have less kids going across the river, and I'm sure that we all hope that that trend continues as we move forward. The next item are solar panels, questions about solar panels. We have Emily Basham from the Connecticut Green Bank, who will be attending our next Finance and Facilities Committee meeting to continue to discuss the power purchase agreement. She did send me, in the meantime, 3 references of towns that she worked in. I've talked to 2 of those. Once I get the 3rd reference taken care of, then I'll be sharing that with the Chairman Waitloff so that we can discuss that at the next meeting as well. And of course, the happy news is that cameras on buses have all been installed. So all buses have brand new cameras, much finer cameras than we had previously. The whole system works a lot better. So the regular size buses have 4 cameras each now. They used to have 2. They all have 4 cameras of higher quality. And the shorter buses have 3 cameras each. So that's all been taken care of by STA. And since they've been installed, we haven't had to use any, but we do know that they are much better. So, and that's my report.
Jay?
Mr. Kilpatrick, I know we're going to have her at our meeting next week, but just out of curiosity, one of the things that I've heard as a concern is the massive amount of toxic waste that will be on our hands in about 20 years when all of these solar panels come off buildings. And I don't know what the plan is for how we're going to dispose of all that. I have heard that recycling it, if the materials can be recycled, usually costs 20 to 30 times as much as dumping. Of course, I don't think we have any dumping facilities around here. Everything now is transferred out. So I guess my question is, are they involved at all with wind? Or are they, is this Connecticut Green Bank strictly solar?
From my understanding, that's strictly solar. And I think we asked her the question, I believe we asked her the question about what they're going to do with the panels or what we're going to be able to do with the panels if they had a plan. And they have no plan because it's too far into the future for them to think of that, apparently. So, it's certainly a question. I've heard it from 3 or 4 different people who are concerned about that. And it's something that I think we need to look a little more carefully at, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be responsible, is my understanding, but I think as a community, we have to think about, really what problem are we creating for our children when all of this technology becomes superseded or, reaches end of life. So.
Yeah, I agree. Just because they're going to be responsible for removing them, taking them out of here, we should still know what they're going to do with them so that it's done in a responsible manner, for sure.
Right. I mean, I don't think that we are particularly interested in hosting, the burial of all of this toxic waste in our town. So I'm curious which towns have stepped forward to agree to host that. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Beverly?
When the person came to speak with the board about the solar panels, he gave us a list of towns that currently had solar panels. Did you reach out to any of those towns to ask them about this company?
I've talked to 2 of them so far. I have 1 more to talk to this week. And once I have that report, I'll share it with Chairman Waitlaw of the Finance and Facilities Committee.
Jay, once he sends you that report, can you send it to the members of the entire board or the members of the Finance and Facilities Committee?
Yes, it's on the agenda for next Tuesday, March 8th. And obviously will be available to everybody. It'll be a public document.
I can tell you generally
Will we
speaking
get it
that
before the meeting or at the meeting?
Usually our packets have always been come before each of the meetings.
No, because he said it's on the agenda. So I didn't know.
So we can discuss it.
Implying that the material, the information would be at the meeting or if it would come before the meeting.
Beb, thank you for the clarification. Yeah, that it would be, that sounds like that's too hard to discuss, just getting the information. So Sam, hopefully that information can come to the Finance and Facilities before Monday so that they can at least chomp on it for 24 hours before the meeting.
It's actually next Tuesday, right?
Right, March 8th.
Yeah, it's a day later than usual. In general, the 2 customers that I talked to so far have been favorable with regard to the Green Bank installation. There were a couple of recommendations, but other than that, generally favorable. But I'll put that in my report to Jay.
Any other questions? If not, let's jump to Lori. Welcome back from your vacation.
Good evening, everyone. Nice to see everybody. So I wanted to take an opportunity to give just a staffing update on where we are from a district perspective, talk a little bit about our recruitment efforts, and then I'd like to talk just briefly about our efforts to diversify our workforce. So I'd like to touch on that a little bit as well. So in relation to recruitment, I want to talk a little bit about all the events we have coming up and what we've been doing to, spread the word, especially with the adjustments we've made with the incoming salaries for our positions. We've definitely seen considerable movement from a recruitment and hiring standpoint. So last week we attended an event at the Department of Labor office in Montville. We collaborate with them and we actually go on site and do recruitment events right in their office. So we were there last week. On March 9th, we will be at the Fitch High School Student Career Planning event. That is held every year at the high school. So we will be there. We will be talking to students about their interest in careers in teaching, as well as giving those students support related to resume writing and interview preparation. So we'll be supporting that event. April 6th, we will be at the day's job fair, which is typically held at the Mystic Marriott. We do that every spring and fall and usually is quite successful for us, put on by the day, sponsored by the day. And then on April 7th, we actually have two events on that day. We'll be at UConn recruiting for certified teachers, and then we'll also be participating in a diversity in education virtual career fair that they do each year, which is focused on teachers as well. So we have a number of events coming up. We've recently completed a number of them, but those are the upcoming events that we have. And as I mentioned, the new pay rate has certainly had an impact. We're seeing quite a bit of uptick in hiring activity, especially in our non-certified staff. We've hired a number of custodians, kindergarten aides, bus aides, paraprofessionals. So we're certainly seeing definite progress and growth as it relates to some of our challenges that we've had coming through the pandemic. We've also collaborated and had social media presence, with the addition of the Facebook page. We've been collaborating with Rebecca Bayes. She's been posting our upcoming events on the page, on the Facebook page, and inviting people to come out and see us. So that's been wonderful. And then as far as diversifying our workforce, there's a number of things that we have been continuing to work on, which are proving to see promise and success. We have been networking with former Martin Luther King scholars. There's a couple of them that we have been working with, and we're quite proud to network with them and encourage them on their path to teaching. One of them has joined the district, and she's working for us, as well as we're supporting her with her student teaching requirements, so that she gets herself fully certified, and she's pursuing an elementary certification. We also have our teacher in residence program this year, which is going very well. We supported 3 teacher in residence candidates at the elementary level, and those individuals are doing well, and they are wrapping up with their programs, and they will be filing for their certification this spring. So those are individuals who are specifically brought into those programs to give them opportunities and prepare them for certification. And then with our own Grow Our Own program, we've been very successful at placing individuals in special education, which we're expanding the program this year to additional areas at the secondary level, especially areas that are challenging to hire, such as science, again, more special education. So we've been very successful with our own program in supporting special education certification. We've had several individuals complete their programs, and we've hired them on into teaching positions. So we continue to work on those efforts to diversify our workforce. It's an important part of what we're doing, in addition to all of our recruitment efforts to fill our vacant needs. And what I'd like to offer is we can certainly come back to the board at a cow maybe in the spring. And I'd like to also invite some of our other DEI leaders in the district to join me, and we can have an additional presentation, talk about, all of the efforts that we're doing around diversifying our workforce and what we're doing to embed the importance of this in everything we're doing from a recruitment, retention, and hiring standpoint.
Sorry, I'm just reading down the note.
Yeah.
Lori, I'm writing
Yeah.
down the note so that we can get you back in spring, in spring for
For a
about
cow.
the hiring.
Yep. Yeah, because I think it'd be nice. We met with the principals, Jamal Davis, the DEI coordinator, and I. We met. We had a presentation that we made to the principals last month and talked a lot about what we're doing to diversify our workforce and what role we all play in that process. So it was a wonderful meeting, and we'd like to share some of that information with the board as well.
Katrina.
Hi, Lori. Do we get advertisements put into like online newsletters, Edutopia and things like that?
Not that I'm aware of, just the social media presence at this point. But if those are resources you're aware of, if you'd like to get those over to me, I'd be happy to take a look at them.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Kat.
I'm going to recognize Dean and then Andrea.
Thank you.
Hi, Dean.
This may come across as me being a smart ass, but I'm not really, honestly. Questions for Lori.
Sure.
So the term that's used is a gerund. Can you folks still hear me? Because I'm going to be losing battery power. So I'll be quick. You'll be pleased. So we're talking about diversifying. I imagine the goal will be a diversified, right, an accomplished task. But I imagine, or as close to that as possible. The basis is that students should have teachers that look like them, or that they can relate to, or however you want to phrase it. Is an effort being made to ultimately match the staff, the teaching staff, to the student demographic? So specifically, if we have Filipino students, are we looking for Filipino teachers, people of that background? Are we trying to match exactly the composition of Black and Hispanic, which for political purposes is so often two groups are simply lumped together? Are we looking for anybody from the Middle East? Are we looking for teachers from India, Bangladesh, people with those backgrounds, Pakistan, anybody from East Asia? We're going to match the Korean students with Korean teachers. Because if you follow the principle all the way through, then our staff should look like our student body, with very few exceptions, as much as possible. Wondering if that's an effort.
Yeah, so Dean, to answer your question, we've talked about as a collective group around our efforts. Diversity comes in many shapes and forms, and you're exactly right. It's not necessarily focused on any one specific race or gender, but it can be role models from the LGBTQ. It could be males in elementary. It could be all these different ethnic backgrounds and experiences. We've hired teachers who have had placements overseas, who have worked in other countries. So you're right. We have not done an exact match, but that's something I think we could certainly continue to fine tune our efforts. At this point, the gap is so wide, we're trying to keep the opportunities as open as possible. But as we get, as we close that gap, I think it allows us to kind of continue to kind of fine tune those efforts to see where we might need opportunity representation. But at this point, we're just trying to diversify it through many shapes and forms and role models.
Dean, did you have are you all good?
Oh, I'm done.
Okay.
Thank you, Dean.
Andrea?
I just wanted to thank Lori for her
her reaching out to students that I have recommended to her. She has talked with students who are still in college and those who have graduated. And I wanted to also thank the DEI for giving us all the opportunity to do that. And I'm on the recruitment committee, and we will be meeting pretty soon to continue this. And I just wanted to say how welcoming Groton is to all of our communities, constituents. It's just a wonderful place to be.
Thanks, Andrea.
Any other questions for Lori? All right, hearing none. Andrew, you're done, right? Okay, all right, well, you're muted, so I'm assuming you are, but your hand's still up, so I just was making sure. All right, I'm gonna move us on to community, community. I'm gonna actually move us on to the committee reports. Policy?
Yes, we met, and you will be receiving some three policies tonight to be voted on. Meeting again next week.
Okay. Liz, curriculum?
Yeah, we met on the 23rd of February, and we did a couple of things. We reviewed the timeline for course proposals on the secondary level. This happened as a result of 2 courses that had been proposed in April of 2021 that did not get developed over the summer. However, the high school would like to add them to their 2022-2023 program of studies. One is a course on meteorology. The other one is to enhance our, support of our own homegrown, teachers. It's called, If You Love It, Teach It. And so we're hoping, Dr. Piazza asked us if we could entertain the idea of allowing these 2 courses to be accelerated through, to us through the curriculum committee, if they could get us the outline of the syllabus and everything that goes along with writing curriculum to us before April break, so that we could bring it to the full board after we've had an opportunity to look through it. And then we're also looking at the revamping, possible revamping, streamlining the course proposal timeline, because it currently takes 18 months to get a new course, and we're talking about that might be a little bit too long. We're also going to be conducting an audit of the high school and middle school courses to see what is obsolete, what is really needed, what is wanted, start to do some looking at that. One of those things, and Susan, I just want to ask you a quick question about the Latin. Can I talk to you about that later on?
Yes.
Like tomorrow at some point?
Sure.
Okay, so we meet again next month, but we're Dr. Piazza is and Katrina and Andrea and I are looking forward to, having another chat.
Okay. Beverly, do you have a question specifically for either policy or curriculum?
Curriculum.
Okay.
Liz, you said that we're not doing away with Latin, but someone on the chat said that their middle school student is choosing classes for 9th grade, and the Latin is not being offered. So I think that's the confusion. That we are phasing it out.
You know what, Beverly, I'm going to talk with Susan tomorrow, and I'll get back to you personally on that. All right, because I was under maybe I misunderstood, but I thought we were not phasing it out, but because of lower enrollment and because our teacher, one of our Latin teachers, is dual certified, and she'll be taking over some social studies classes. But I want to clarify that with Susan and Dr. Piazza, and I'll get back to you. Is that okay?
Okay, yeah, because this person is thinking, well, they're saying that it's not being offered in 9th grade. So
I saw that too, and I'm on it.
Looks like Dr. Ackerman has her hand up.
Andrea.
I wanted to get back to Latin. One of the things that I heard tonight from the young man from the high school was that he was discouraged from taking Latin. And the comment was, don't take Latin, it's too hard. And I really want to encourage us, and I'm on the committee with Liz, I want to encourage us to look into what's happening with Latin, because it seems to me that there's a great deal of interest in it, and maybe our students are being discouraged from taking it. And I really want to take a look at this again. So I'm urging
That's
that.
why it's on. That's why it's
Yeah.
on that's why it's on the agenda for the curriculum.
I just
committee,
want,
right?
I just wanted to lend my voice. That's
Thank you. I'm glad that you did. Thank you for doing that. Jay.
Yes, finance did not meet in February just because we have been basically as a board meeting as finance every week, at least once a week. However, we will meet next Tuesday, March 8th.
Okay. And communication, and I believe that that's Katrina.
Yes, communications has not been able to meet. We are trying to get a date for March.
Okay. So moving on to our other committees, negotiations. I don't think that we have anything coming up. Oh, actually,
Yes, we do. We have that stipend to complete with GEA, and Lori is back. Lori, do you have any information on trying to find a date or time? Is she on?
I think she is, but we can come back. I mean, we know that we need to get that done.
Yeah.
All right.
Kim, quick clarification, please.
Yes.
Susan, is that, when you talk about stipend, is that Schedule C?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That was something that we left on when we did the contract with the teachers, that we would come back and look at the stipends for Schedule C. In Rita's stead, she asked me to read this report from Learn of the regular monthly meeting synopsis. And I've also sent it to Joan so that it can be in for the record. So based upon the survey results of the board regarding the 2021-2022 meeting schedule format, the following has been agreed upon. Learn will resume hosting in person all board meetings as of September 9th, 2021. Learn will also provide a remote option to those unable to attend in person. All members were asked to identify themselves and districts prior to commenting for the audio recording of the meeting in compliance with the Governor Lamont's executive order. Superintendent's perspective, Groton Superintendent Susan Austin, and assisted by the Assistant Superintendent, Dr. Philip Piazza, presented on the Groton 2020 plan. There's a hiring, an updated list of resignations and new hires were provided. Staffing continues to be of a challenge. Human Resources continues to plan hiring events that have offered sign-on bonuses to encourage staff to recommend friends and families for positions in Learn. Distributions, RESCs, which is the Regional Educational, oh my goodness. Student, I can't remember what the RESC stands for, but it's a Regional Education Service Center.
Right.
Woof. Alliance Legislative Priorities Sheet was distributed and reviewed. Legislative updates for the RESC, which is the executive directors met with Representative Felipe, who confirmed that the state legislation is very active in supporting school choice options, and listened to the Alliance's legislative priorities and discussed the proposed bill of Connecticut Tech Ed and Career Systems funding, as well as state funding to replace district funding for magnet school tuitions. The Sheff versus O'Neill court settlement resulted in significant funding to go to correct schools. Learn agency update. Associate Executive Director Dolan hosted the mid-year leadership retreat with Ms. Erickson, which provided time for school and department leaders to hear about their leadership work this year. The Executive Director Erickson is working with Mitchell College President Dr. Espy and Mitchell College leadership to forge a partnership that will benefit their college students and Learn schools and programs through internship programs. Holding conversations with Region 17 Board Chair Susan Sack, regarding a potential student support service additional site in Haddam to serve districts on the southwestern corner of the Learn Resc. A visit to the site is planned in March. The Office of Young Children and Families have contracted with the Global Child to work on curriculum development and will perform a pre-K review for Clinton Public Schools. The Friendship School will be hosting the Commissioner of Early Childhood in late February to share insights and advocate for support for early childhood education, funding support for programming for children. And the Office of Teaching and Learning has launched a new network for school leaders on equity proposed by the Shoreline Equity Network. Learn continues to review and update policies each month. Approved new policy number 6159, special education planning and placement team, and revised policy 5149, students on campus recruitment. And there was a round table discussion with the governor expected to announce new protocols for masking throughout the state. The topic continues to be a very contentious subject. Mask policy provides district superintendents many challenges due to conflicting health reporting information and guidance from the local, state, and federal agencies. There are also many concerns from staff, students, and parents to be considered, as the various groups are often pitted against one another on the subject. Many administrators and boards of ed are currently surveying their district to get a sense of which way to move forward. East Haddam has decided upon making mask wearing optional by announcing that it will be a personal choice and ask that decisions may be made by individuals should be respected. That is from Rita. We have not been able to gather for town council, RTM and Board of Ed liaison. That's still in the works. I'm actually waiting to get the membership from the other from our other town colleagues. We have not had any meetings with the AJSA, DEA, and the Board of Ed liaison, and maybe Susan, we should be working on getting that going.
So I meet with the GEA for breakfast this week, so I will find out. Beth has not been in. She is feeling better now, so she's back.
Okay, super. I just hope that you don't eat the AJSA, that you can go out to dinner with them or breakfast, but don't eat.
Yeah, we take our turns going to breakfast. Sometimes we all go together.
Groton Scholarship.
We met on the 17th, and as of the deadline was on the 18th for Groton scholarships. They were going to possibly extend it, but I never got confirmation that had happened. So I'm going to say that probably the Groton scholarship application has now closed. What's an unfortunate thing is as of the 17th, there were only 24 students who had applied, whereas last year there were 62. Wow. So it was quite a difference. But like they were saying, if students don't apply, and they've been trying to get the word out and get things going, that would just mean that the students that do apply, there's going to be a lot more money for them. So I'm not sure about the number at this point. I did not, I just got on the committee and they had already set up their reading committee for, the 3 people who are going over all the applications. So after the next meeting, we should have an idea of what's happening. So I just was I was disappointed to hear that there was only 24 students as of the 17th of February. It's just, and it was a fluke. I mean, this was one of the lowest numbers they've ever had.
Stacy said that we have someone in the chat saying, Liz, that it's been extended for a week, so maybe you'll be getting more applicants.
Thanks, Stace. I didn't know that. They didn't tell me. But
Andrea?
Okay.
I wanted to ask, I don't know if Liz knows this, but does anybody know how the scholarship is, all of the scholarships are being moved at the high school? Is there a way of an established way of getting the information out to students to apply? Is there a drive?
I do know, Andrea, that the guidance counselors are really involved in this, and they do push it. I do know that they did anyway. I'm sure that hasn't changed, but they've also had I'm wondering, the career counselor, I think, up there, I think is also involved. So there is a lot of push going on. But for some reason, there's they're not sure of what the reason for the low numbers are. And, but I do know they do promote these scholarships.
Thank you. Okay.
Jay, athletic fields?
I had a conflict. I was unable to attend their last meeting. However, they did draft a letter to the Groton Town Council asking them to make a decision about the fate of the Colchester School site a priority so that they can complete their plan for athletic fields across the town.
Thank you, Jay. And then for military children, had there been a meeting?
There will be a meeting on the 24th of March.
Okay, so we'll look forward to hearing about that. So the next one is going to be our action items, which is a consent agenda, which all matters listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion. And we can have points of clarification will be allowed. Can I have a motion for the consent agenda, please?
Motion Fitzgerald.
All right. Can I have a
Second.
second? I have Liz for a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the consent agenda, please say aye.
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 Oppose? Abstain? That motion has carried. We are now getting into the old business of our agenda. I do want to just take a second and just to note, if people could turn to page 3 of their agenda, and we have a discussion that will be going into executive session if we agree to go into executive session. And I would like to propose that we not table, but we move 3 to the very end of the meeting so that people, I guess we could be put into a group, Mark. But then we could then come leave the executive session and be done with the meeting once we vote to adjourn the meeting. Do people have an issue about that? All right.
Sounds good to me.
Thank you, Bev. Thank you.
Only that I think Kate is running the meeting tonight.
Yep, I'm making the breakout room right now. Hold on one second.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you,
Not Mark.
Jay. Wrong Mark. All right. All right. So I'm going to go into old business. And Liz, I am wondering if you would be willing to read the motion under number 1, please.
Certainly. To approve policy P4118.239 COVID-19 vaccinations as a second reading.
Can I have a second to that?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Andrea. Can we have discussion?
Is Lori Lapine still on?
Yes, I'm still here.
This was one that I think we thought was going to be tabled because of the time. I think you spoke to Floyd. Can you fill us in on this policy?
Which one was it again? I apologize.
This is P4118.239, the COVID-19 vaccination. As a second reading, we spoke about that. We thought it was off the agenda, but I see it's on.
Oh, okay. So yeah, the P4118 vaccination policy, we aren't proceeding with because it's no longer relevant with the removal or expiration of the executive order. So there's no longer those requirements. So the policy is no longer necessary.
We did check with Floyd on that.
Yeah. And you know
Yes.
what, Susan, when I told you I called you, but I couldn't remember the reason why I called you.
That
It
was
was
fine.
because of that. So Joan, we are in a motion. What is, and maybe I can ask Dean, what should we do with when it's not going to be done? Joan?
Well,
Withdraw the motion, the first and the seconds. If they take back their first and second, then you declare that it's being tabled.
Okay, so Katrina, no, who did the first motion?
Liz and Andrea.
Thank you. Liz, would you be willing to take your motion away?
Absolutely. I withdraw my motion.
Thank you. Andrea?
I withdraw the second.
Okay, so this motion has now been tabled for further further meeting. That was easy.
So Kim, just a point, so does this mean we're going to discuss it again, or because the executive order has, okay, so it's done.
So it's really tabled because in the executive order, and I think Lori, you had talked to Floyd and he suggested that it go away because so did the mandate, right?
Yeah, it's no longer relevant because the mandate's no longer active.
A point of order, Madam Chair.
Yeah, Dean, absolutely.
So we've had the motion withdrawn. I don't know that that necessarily tables this agenda item.
Okay, so Dean, could you give me a remedy?
Yeah, motion to table this motion, this item. Sorry.
All right, is that your motion?
Yeah.
Can I have a second to that motion?
Second.
Liz, any discussion? Beverly?
Just for clarification, does table mean that we're bringing this up again later? Or does table mean, like Susan said, that we no longer need this policy and it's not necessary?
I appreciate that really very clever and good question. Dean, do you have a response for me on that?
Well, I suppose that what I could have done was to move to table it indefinitely.
Or withdraw it?
I mean, we're a little hyper technical at this point. I mean, if it never appears on the agenda again, we have the same effect.
Yeah.
So, but there is such a thing as a motion to table indefinitely, which is one of these motions people use to kill things.
I just need to know which word I should use. Definitely.
Okay. I had moved. That wasn't clear. I had moved to table the thing indefinitely.
Indefinitely.
All right, I've got Matthew and I've got Katrina.
According
Matthew first.
Katrina. Okay.
Matthew and then Katrina.
Let Katrina go. Let Katrina go. I might learn something. Let Katrina go.
We can withdraw the motion or modify the motion. So we withdrew we withdrew the motion already with the first and the second.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right, it's an agenda item, and so does it not have to be treated somehow?
No, to withdraw or change a motion already stated by the chair, we would request for permission to withdraw or modify the motion. Let me look further. We can get this straightened out once and for all, because I think this has been a question before.
Yeah.
191. Okay.
Can I just jump in real quick and ask another question? Kim, why don't we just take it off the agenda?
Well, we got a motion on the Beverly, you're absolutely correct, but we got a motion that's kind of hanging out on the floor, so we got to do something with that anyways.
Well, we withdrew the motion. They withdrew their motion.
Yeah, but then I asked Dean to do a motion. It was seconded.
Yeah, we'll leave that one.
Oh my God.
I know, Beverly. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to make sure that it doesn't come back to haunt us. Dean?
May I?
Yeah.
Kim?
Yes, Matthew.
Thank you. I voted for this motion to come out of committee because I felt it would be inappropriate for one person to kill a motion and keep it from coming to the board. But I had raised some substantive objections to the policy as it was written. You recall I mentioned that I thought that there was some legal exposure to us. I'm perfectly willing to be overridden, but I think it's hazardous for us to keep on the table something that may, to use Dean's words, come back to haunt us. I would much prefer to kill this motion. And if we need to do something in the future, we always have this document to go back to and resurrect it if we need to.
So what needs to happen is that someone needs to request of Kim permission to withdraw the motion, and then Kim would ask for unanimous consent.
Which motion?
What?
The original motion? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Kim, or Ms. Chairwoman, I request permission to withdraw my motion.
Okay, so all those in favor, right?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. And so, so with by full consent, we have moved that from the agenda indefinitely. How's that?
So just
Treated
again,
like
point of order.
any other, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I was going to say, so my motion to table, however qualified or unqualified, is considered out of order then, right? And we don't have to go back to that.
No.
I don't have to
It is
withdraw
treated
anything
just
because if
like-
it was out of order, I'm out of order.
Okay, I'm going to say that you were out of order.
Thank you, thank you.
All right, so I'm going to move us on. All right. Katrina, thank you.
Welcome.
I'm going to say I'm confused. If we withdraw the motion to act on this, my understanding, and I may be wrong, is that this proposal still lingers in the netherworld as never having been acted upon one way or another. It's
Pretty
still
much.
somewhere on the table. Is that correct?
It
It's
should
not
remain old
tabled.
business.
Yeah.
Technically, it remains on the old business list, yeah.
It's not approved, not
it-
unless the board approved it for a second reading, and you have not done that.
But it remains,
it-
it remains on their old business. We may not print it in the agenda, but it remains technically as an old business item.
If I'm, would it be in order? I don't know what's in order anymore. Would it be in order to, if it's legal, make a motion that we vote no on this item? If that motion passes and we dispose of it, we still have the document in our records. We can always resurrect it in the future if we need to. Is that in order?
Is that necessary?
I would argue that if we don't kill it, we have something on the table, even if we don't take it up. And then if sometime in the future there's a need for something, we can't do what we want while there's still something on the table. But I've been wrong.
But since this motion is, the whole policy is moot because it's expired, there shouldn't be any reason for us to have to go back to it. But like Dean said, it'll be under old business, and it will be maintained in the record. So if we wouldn't have to bring this particular item back because it's expired.
No problem.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to move us on to new business. Once again, I'm going to do 1, 2, 3 is going to be at the end. We're going to go through information and proposals, advanced planning, suggested agenda items, and then we're going to, before we hit agenda, go into the executive session part piece. Can I please have Jay read number 1, please? The motion.
I move to approve the suspension of policy 4118.237, face masks, coverings, and policy P5141.8, face mask coverings, and grant the superintendent of schools or the superintendent of schools designee the authority to determine the appropriate requirement regarding masking as conditions warrant.
Can I have a second to that?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Liz. Discussion, please.
I really wrestled with this. I'm gonna vote no for this.
I'm gonna do Matthew and then Jay.
Thank you. I'm also going to vote no for this. I don't think we can predict the future any better than we could predict it in 2019 and know what was coming down the pike. I agree with the spirit of what's being proposed, but I don't know what's meant by the appropriate requirement. And I don't think any of us knows what's going to be appropriate in the future. We have recommendations for Ledge Light Health District about what we should be doing for masks. And we're somehow using other metrics rather than the most local thing here. So I would feel I support the concept, but I'd like to know what the metrics are. It just seems dangerous to pass something when we don't know what we're authorizing. Thank you.
Jay?
I listened very carefully to both sides on this, and I appreciate the points that Mike Whitney made, that there are some people that think we should wait a little bit longer. However, the way I look at it is the mask mandate has expired at the state level. But I don't think that we can sit here tonight and revoke the policy, because I, for one, don't know for a fact that the pandemic has ended. But I think it's appropriate to suspend it since the state mask mandate is over. So the underlying purpose of this policy is no longer there. And I think that the only thing that was keeping us was the CDC guidance, which has changed, and they provide the metrics.
They do.
To Matthew's point, CDC is now providing metrics based on hospitalization and the strength of the virus. And so rather than us calling an emergency meeting every time the conditions change, I think it only makes sense that the superintendent can then react to CDC guidance, Department of Public Health guidance, Ledge Light guidance. The legislature specifically authorized the Connecticut Department of Public Health to extend the mask mandate if, in their judgment, conditions warranted. The legislature gave the Department of Public Health for the state of Connecticut authority to extend it until June 30th. However, they did not do so. In the meantime, CDC has also changed their guidance. So everything upon which this policy was based has been removed. And I'm in no position, believe me, and I want to thank everyone that's written to us. It's the folks that have come out tonight, but also the many people who have emailed us, called us, messaged us with their opinions. However, I'm not in a position to make a scientific judgment. And so I'm deferring to CDC, Connecticut Department of Public Health, and our local health authorities to determine where the state is going to go. And if any of that guidance should change, then rather than hold an emergency meeting, the superintendent can respond to that change.
And I have to add too that Ledge Light Health District has also verified that. Steve Mansfield, in my multiple conversations, especially recently, he said that CDC would really give us the guidance that we needed and give us the metrics, and they did. So he had forecasted that, and now he's made it certain.
Susan, what would happen if this this debate this policy does not pass tonight? What happens?
Well, it's going to put us in an awkward situation because you're going to have an existing policy, as Mike Whitney said, that wouldn't be supported because we've already given people the idea of choice. 90% of our public wanted to have choice in this matter, and they have it. And as we've heard about, it's 50-50 wearing of the mask at this point. And by suspending this policy with the ability for me to be monitoring it, like I did with remote learning and other things, you know, if we needed to go back, if the metrics changed and we were high again, it might be my call to say we're going to have to mask up for the next week or two. And, you know, the community certainly has supported us. It's been 2 years of this. And the parents and students have been very compliant with the whole thing.
So you didn't, so what is an awkward, Beverly and Andrea, I'll recognize you after I just finish my question. So when you say that this puts us in an awkward position, what does that mean?
Well, it means that you're going to have an existing policy that we're not following.
Beverly?
Thank you, Kim.
Absolutely.
You're absolutely right, Susan. We'll have if we don't do away with this policy, we'll have an existing policy that we're not following. And I have to say, and I don't mean any disrespect, that we should have waited until the board, voted on this policy to send out a letter saying they're suspending masks. I mean, because now we're caught in a catch-22 situation. You already sent out the letter. We're going to look bad if we don't suspend this policy. So I don't see what much we could do other than suspend the policy without making the school system and making the superintendent look bad. I would have preferred waiting until the middle of March to suspend the mask policy to make sure that our numbers were remaining stable, and not just because they're stable now, that's the way it's going to be. But because you sent out that letter, I don't see what I can really do as a board member. So that's my opinion.
Beverly, thank you for your voice. Andrea?
It's a suspension of the policy, not a revocation of it. So it can be, a suspension means that it can be brought back.
Right.
So it's to me, it's a moot question. We should just do it.
Because she already sent out the letter.
No. Oh, Beverly, I wasn't taking issue with what you said. I was just clarifying that it's a suspension, not a revocation. That's all.
Okay, thank you.
Jay?
I just wanted to clarify again a question that Mr. Whitney brought up earlier, and that is, do we currently have on hand a sufficient number of adult and student N95 masks for those who request them? My understanding was the state was going to provide those.
We have thousands of masks.
Okay.
And we've sent them out to schools along with all the additional kits for testing. And they're available for families.
Okay.
COVID test. Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Dean?
Thank you. Holy smokes. I would prefer to end the policy, but I'll take a suspension if that's what's on the table. The kids should never have been masked to begin with. This is the least vulnerable population. It's to an infinitesimal degree. My kids went along with it. They were older. And so that's fine. That's what they want. Had I had younger kids, I would have had some pretty serious reservations about sending them into the schools, not because of a health risk, but because they have to wear that stupid thing on their face. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little heated about this. But the countries to which we supposedly look to for guidance, Denmark, I don't think they ever mask their kids, or Sweden, one of those, right? They're always models except when they're not. I'm voting to suspend if that's the best that I can get at this point.
you know, people who are waiting for no cases, let me tell you something. Coronavirus, thank you, People's Republic of China. Coronavirus is going to be with us, kind of like the cold, which is exactly kind of what it is. That's what a
what it's
cold is, the
become.
coronavirus. It's going to blow through the planet. We're going to have these periodic outbreaks, call it a pandemic, endemic, what have you. Well, let's, you know, mask now, mask tomorrow, mask forever if we want to. I choose not to live that way. I got my shots, by the way. I regret that my children got shots. One didn't. God help us if those things prove to be bigger problems than their help. Enough with this madness. I vented. I'm voting to suspend.
I have to also say in the chat, one of our parents has said that, you know, almost all the districts in Connecticut are making masks optional. There are 4 major cities with 20,000 or more students, so with a much larger population than we have, who have remained masked for like 1 week or 2 more weeks. So I think, I mean, I have been in communication with all of our superintendents around, and it was really virtually everyone's decision that once the mandate is lifted, what authority do we have to impose that? So.
Liz and then Beverly.
You know, this is a really difficult decision, and I want people to understand that we don't take this very lightly. I understand the fear. I also understand that I have a choice, and the choice I make for me and mine may not be the choice that you make for yours. But you have countries like Japan. Back in the 80s, people were walking around with masks in Tokyo. They still do. So masking is a choice. And as much as I am concerned about this virus, I personally am tired of living in fear. And I want my choice to be for my health and for myself, for my family is up to them. For my children, if I had young children, I would talk to them about this as they were, how they were older or younger, depends. But I think it's come to the point that now it is a parent choice. We are not in the state we were 2 years ago. You know, I have to say, I would, you know, Dean talks about his children. My daughter is a COVID nurse. She's watched 60 people plus die. And it's still a choice. And so, you know, it's not an easy thing, but I think it's time we have to follow what our hearts tell us. And I have to say, I'm going to go with choice.
Thank you, Liz. Bev?
I have to agree with Liz with some of the things she says anyway, but I have to say that I am glad when COVID first came out that we had to wear a mask, because I think masking did initially, I don't know, maybe for 18 months or whatever, save a lot of us from dying. So, but I do believe it's a choice now that things are getting a lot better, and people should have a choice whether they want to wear one or not wear one. But I totally disagree with Dean and his vaccination spiel and all that nonsense that he's talking about.
Jay?
So I just want to say that one of the other parents, and I believe Superintendent Austin mentioned earlier, I think it's really important that people respect the other choices for those children and staff members who will continue to wear masks. And I hope, you know, I would highly encourage everyone to wear a high quality mask, an N95. I mean, science does tell us that the cloth is probably not helping. And I do agree with Beverly that in the beginning, this did save a lot of lives before vaccines. It's just the landscape has changed now, but that's why we're not revoking the policy either. We're suspending it because we don't know that it's over. We thought it was over in the fall, and look what happened. So I'm not willing to say it's all over. So that's why I support the suspending. But furthermore, I just hope that there will be respect for whatever choice each person makes, and that, we can at least, find some common ground there, and that there not be any bullying or anything else with regard to whether, a child or a staff member wants to continue to wear a mask. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Katrina?
Do we know, you're probably going to say no, but do we know what percentage of our students are unvaccinated?
The only way we would know is through our nurses, because it is private information. But I would say that if I've had, let's say, a dozen vaccination clinics with about 200 students and adults attending from Groton, and I've had another 10 for our little ones, and same thing, from probably 100, approximately 100 each of the pediatric clinics. That really is like the majority of my population. So that really reaches out to, and I know 97% of my grownups that work for the district are all vaccinated, not just teachers, everybody. To me, that's outstanding. And I feel very safe and secure. And that's one of the that's number one on the DPH list of factors I've got to consider. And I did consider every single one before DPH even sent it out. They were all the things I had considered with my colleagues, with my department. So I feel very confident.
I'm going to say we are talking about the mask policy. So I think that we need to keep our discussion to that. All right.
I think she was asking me though, if, about the vaccination, which is part of the DPH guidelines on whether masks.
We're talking about the policy specifically about suspension. So I would like to keep our comments to that. Thank you. Dean?
I have things to say, but I won't say them.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Jay, may you read the motion, because you added that last part that's not on our agenda, and I don't want to get that misconstrued. I don't mean to put you on the spot.
I read it as I had it printed.
Okay.
And we got an update, Kim. We got an update.
So and I don't have that update. So
okay.
Liz, could you read the motion for me then?
Okay, I'll do it. To approve the suspension of policy P 4118.237 face mask / coverings and policy P 5141.8 face masks and coverings, and grant the superintendent of schools or the superintendent of schools designee the authority to determine the appropriate requirement regarding masking as conditions warrant.
All those in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye. Do you need a hand?
Beverly, I don't know what your vote is.
I think I don't know. I'll vote for it. We're suspending it. We're suspending it, and if we need it, we get it back again. Is that the motion?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so 1, 2. Okay. All those oppose?
Aye.
Abstain? Matt? So that motion has carried. All right, let's move us on. Let's see, can I have Matthew, would you be willing to read under new business number 2, the motion?
I'd be very happy to read the motion.
Thank you.
To approve policy
P 5141-.25, students with special health care needs as a first reading.
Can I have a second to that, please? Liz, thank you. Can I have discussion about this, please?
Can I have permission to speak?
Oh, please.
Thank you. So we're working on the policy for students with special healthcare needs. This is specifically a policy for students with life-threatening food allergies. We were revising the policy in the fall to add a section about glucagon storage disease. It's a form of diabetes that requires special procedures for addressing in the school setting. And at our policy meeting, we had a parent join us, and she shared some information that she found lacking in our current policy in regards to how we address students with life-threatening food allergies. And she shared with us the Connecticut General Statutes 10-212C that outlines the components that should be in a policy to address life-threatening food allergies. And although we felt our policy addressed these topics, we felt our policy didn't go into a great deal of detail. So we did a thorough review of policies from other school districts, and we worked with our medical advisor and our school nursing supervisor. And we added much more specificity for our staff and our parents to better understand how we address the safety of students with life-threatening food allergies. And I just want to review the 5 broad areas that were added to this policy. We specified how, first of all, number 1, how we identify students with life-threatening food allergies and diabetes and glycogen storage disease. Number 2, we addressed how students that have these disabilities receive what's called an individual health care plan, and if needed, an emergency care plan. And there's steps that help the schools create those plans. And we actually have templates, so the plans are consistent from building to building. Next, we included training and education, which we're doing, but we felt it was very important that we specify what that training of the staff consists of and how we educate staff and students in terms of making healthy food choices and making sure that classrooms don't have allergens present that could potentially put a student with an allergy at risk. Next, the 4th domain is prevention. We have a section that's dedicated to cleaning, sanitizing, making sure that we have steps in place to prevent students from having a reaction to an allergen. And then lastly, communication, how we communicate with our food services department, our bus drivers, our parents, and of course, our teachers and students. So that's how we have really made this a more robust policy so that these 5 areas are very clearly and specifically outlined in this revised policy.
Katrina, do you have a question?
Yes, I do. On page 311, school transportation, who trains, are the drivers trained? Who trains them?
So the drivers are informed if there's a student with a life-threatening allergy. It doesn't always have to be a food allergy. It could be an allergy to bees. So they would need to know that the student carries an EpiPen. They're also trained on looking for signs that a student may be having a severe allergic reaction. And they're trained in the procedures for pulling over, calling 911, and making sure that that student gets the help that they need if they are in fact having a allergic reaction. And that's done in communication with the parent, the bus company, and it's done generally through the principal or the assistant principal.
So staff is trained, but drivers aren't. They're just notified.
They have training if it's needed in terms of looking for signs of anaphylactic shock. They're trained in how to administer the EpiPen.
Okay. Thank you.
Beverly?
Denise, is everything in green? Is that new or everything in
Yes.
black is new?
Yes, and that was part of the feedback that we received from a parent that was very, very helpful. Because as you can see, our policy was brief. We alluded to these plans, we alluded to training and education and prevention and communication, but we didn't go into great detail. So the bulk of this policy is new. We've been very methodical in specifying what each of these components looks like.
You did a good job with the policy. I had to look up myself what glucogen storage disease was because I never heard of it before. So I had to
Yeah,
look
that's
up.
how we started. And then we had feedback, you know, again, from our parent group that told us we really needed to do a better job with communicating all of those different areas that I just outlined in the policy itself.
So
obviously, I was just
Go
going
ahead.
to say, obviously, parents who have students with life-threatening food allergies want to be sure that all of these procedures are in place so that their children are safe in school.
Do you let the cafeteria staff know that so-and-so student has a life-threatening allergy?
We do.
Okay, all right. Thank you,
And
Denise.
we have special seating arrangements in the cafeteria, depending on, you know, what foods the student needs to have a, you know, a safe zone so that they don't come in contact with, because some of our students have a reaction, not just if they ingest the allergen, but if they come in contact with the allergen.
Those EpiPens, do the drivers carry them in their first aid kits, or are they relying on the student having one?
Students that have the very severe allergies generally carry the EpiPen in a special pocket of their backpack, and we show the bus driver where that pocket is. Some of our younger students carry it in a fanny pack that they wear on the bus, and then when they come in the classroom, we have a hook inside the classroom door where they hang their fanny pack, so it's there, but they don't have to wear it all day.
Okay, thank you, Denise.
Katrina?
I forgot to lower my hand. I'm sorry about that.
No, not a problem. Just want to make sure I got it. Any further discussion? All right. So, Andrea.
I just wanted to thank Denise for her thorough explanation of that. It really gave everybody a clear view of what this is about. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, if there's no further discussion, let's move to the vote on the motion, which is to approve policy P5141.25, students with special health care needs as a first reading. All those in favor of that motion, please say aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion has carried. Beverly, that was really very good about you just putting up the hand, so I knew what you were doing. Thanks. All right, so as we discussed, we're going to move on to information, letters of communication, and Beverly, I'm going to start with you.
I had communications from a couple of bus drivers about being notified for snow cancellations. And they want to know if Susan could possibly, or Sam, possibly get the notifications out at night, because what happens sometimes is some bus drivers live an hour away. And if you call them, if you let them know that schools are being closed at 6 o'clock in the morning, some of them are already on the road. So they want to know if at all possible, can you let the schools know ASAP that classes are being canceled.
We actually
And
heard some of the same things, Beverly, and that's why we called it at night, just the last one. So yes,
Okay.
as if we have that information, we certainly would do it sooner than later.
Okay. And Susan, I don't want you to forget about my requesting that one of the libraries in the elementary schools be named
Yes.
after Dr. Mitchell.
Here.
Okay. I don't want, I'm gonna talk about that at every meeting because I really.
So we have
pushing-
we have to bring our board committee back, the naming committee. And
Okay.
we might want to think of 2 different names for the 2 new libraries at the 2 new elementary schools.
Okay. And that's it. And thank you, everybody that attended the meeting, the staff I'm talking about. This has been very helpful to hear your input about different items. So thank you.
Matthew.
I got several communications about all things masking. I tried to respond to all of them, speaking for myself. The only other thing I have is it's a personal communication is I'm looking forward to getting into the schools. When we did our Blue Ribbon Festival, I met with the librarians at the new middle school, and they said they'd love to have board members come and read. So since reading is on the agenda, we're here.
Yeah, this week. Give them a call.
Okay. And student career fair. If we're able to attend that, I'd like to attend that too. Thank you.
Dean.
Yeah, well, am I on? I'm on. Okay, fine. Lots of messages, of course, from parents regarding the mask update. I won't go through them individually. I think we've heard enough. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm going to leave it at that.
Liz.
Yeah, I received a lot of messages like you all did about the mask, to mask or unmask. I did want to inform the board that we have a group of middle school students from Groton Middle School that will be participating for the first time in their history at Connecticut History Day, which will be on, they will find out if they have placed to go to the state competition on March 19th. I find out March 18th, but I can't tell anybody until March 19th. And so I just want to applaud Trish Snyder, who has been the lead teacher there on this, as well as a couple of other teachers have volunteered to judge. We're hoping that this is this is another avenue for our students to be able to, to show, demonstrate their creativity as well as their knowledge. And it gives a balance, not only because, to a very, of course, science in STEM, but this gives a humanities end to it as well. So I just want to applaud those teachers. I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. And I want to thank those who have reached out and asked us to really consider. And I want people to know that we have really considered. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Liz. Andrea?
I thank everybody as well. And I echo what Liz has said. The letters that we got were passionate and well thought out. And I really appreciate the trust that parents have in us. Thank you very much.
Jay?
As I said earlier, I received numerous communications about masks. And I agree with Dr. Ackerman and Liz. We appreciate hearing from everyone. I attended the first ever Black History Month flag raising at the Groton Town Hall. This was organized through the town DEI committee, but I should mention it was spearheaded by Councilor Portia Bordelon. In addition to Councilor Bordelon, Councilor Baumgardner spoke, Councilor Juliet Parker, Mayor Juan Melendez, the state controller, Natalie Broswell was there, Connecticut College, Professor Kevin Booker Jr. was there, Senator Heather Summers, Representative Chris Conley, Susan and Phil were there along with Fitch High School's Black Student Union. And I'm sure I've left many names off, but that was the first of what I expect will be an annual event. And then on February 15th, I was able to attend the Blue Ribbon Ceremony at Thames River Magnet School with Congressman Courtney. Of course, Susan and Phil. Kim also addressed the crowd. And I took away a statement from Assistant Principal Ada Allen. She was at Mary Morrison. And she talked about how they were one ship, one crew. And then we were able to tour the building. So that was a very good event also. Thank you.
Katrina?
Okay, I wanted to thank all the staff that attended. I think it was 8 budget meetings that we had. They provided a lot of good information, answered a lot of good questions. I received the same emails regarding the masking. I would say I hope has started a trend where the public will and parents will communicate with us, feel more comfortable communicating with board members. I wanted to remind everyone that there is a food distribution in the event in the city. It's every last Friday of the month. And then while it's in the city, it's open to all Groton residents. People can find more information on the City of Groton webpage. And then I had a question from someone about registering for preschool. Would now be the time to do that, or is there a certain period of time? Do they contact the registrar about that? How does that happen?
So really depends on the student's age, but they can always contact the registrar. Nadine Macklin from the district is also really oversees all the preschool and pre-K. So she's another really good person to reach out to. And we have ECAT if they're children who are in birth to 3 or turning 3. So that's at Charles Barnum. So there's several ways that they can find out.
Thank you. That is it.
So I will just, Rita asked me to state that she was in support of Mike Whitney's communication. She asked me to share that in a text earlier today because she was unable to be here. And I received all the correspondence that everyone else or most people had received to about the masking issue. I did attend the Blue Ribbon, and I'm just very proud of that staff and how hard they worked, and what a great way of bringing the community together. And to have the CEO of the base speak so highly of Groton was really kind of cool, that we have really developed and nurtured those relationships through Miranda, and also just for how we have kept the military as part of our thought process. I just would like to say that Beverly, there's no time like the present. I would love for us to develop a naming committee. And if anyone is interested in doing that, could you please email me and I will get that formed and established. I would also like to establish an open house committee, which would include some staff and possibly some community members, so that this could become a Groton community event. And it sounds to me that with the magnet schools, where we want parents to kind of come in and kind of take a look at it, that would be great. And so once again, if you are interested in doing that, I think that would be imperative. And I would encourage the communication committee members to think about their attendance to that as well. I'm not trying to usurp that, but I just think that we need to sort of have a wider lens with that, Katrina. And that's why I'm establishing a separate but combined committee with that. So that's where that was coming from. I ask that people pay attention to, we have lots of meetings that are coming up. One of the ones that I think is really important will be at the end. That would be the March 29th, which would be the town council meeting and the Board of Ed budget as well. I, at this point, would take agenda items. I think Susan and I could, thank you, Katrina, sorry.
Could we maybe, I'm not sure what committee, so I'm just gonna say committee of the whole. In the art ESSER funds, there was over $10,000 earmarked for our unhoused students. Could we hear a little bit more about how that money is going to be used and what we're actually doing right now for our unhoused students? Also, I know the legislature has started their session. It's a short session, I think.
Katrina, we've lost your voice.
Can you put that exactly how you want it in the chat box so I can read it? So you said the COW, ARP, ESSER, and then I couldn't hear what you were saying specifically.
For the money, it was just over $10,000 for our unhoused students.
Unhoused?
I'll put it in chat.
Put it in chat for me, or just
Our
reach out to me.
homeless students.
Okay.
Okay. Alrighty. Sorry about that.
That's all right. I just want to get it right.
Know that we are going to, with an upcoming, very soon, to hear about the magnet and the career programs at the high school. I think that we're going to come in and have a pretty high school laden COW so that the board can understand all the things that are happening there. And I think Susan and I are trying to flesh that all out. Katrina, do you have another? Okay. Any other agenda topics? Thanks for hanging in with us, guys. All right, I would like to take a motion to go in. I would like to make a motion to go into executive session with Lori Lapine and Susan Austin. Can I have a second to that?
I'll second it. Andrea.
Thank you, Andrea. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone oppose, abstain? Hearing none of those, can we have, can we go into a group?
Yes.
And then when we come out, Caitlin, we are gonna then need to do our adjournment.
Okay, so I'll make the meeting and I'll wait in this one for you guys to come back.
Yeah, we'll come back to join you.
Okay.
I told you we'd be back for you, Caitlin.
Thank you.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Do we have everyone? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, all right. I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Have a
Second.
I got Jay. Katrina, can you make sure that you can just mark that we've adjourned?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Abstain. Motion is carried. Guys, really good work and good conversation tonight. Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night, all.